So I've just sort of gathered and ordered into the original sets, LOB, MRD, etc. all of my sort of childhood Yu-Gi-Oh cards, right? I want to really just enjoy and get to know these cards, to look at them, analyze the art on each individual card because somebody drew or sketched or in some way artisted all of these cards and their effects. All of them are worth at least a read too, to kind of just really get a bit of a better understanding of these old cards. More than that, I want to, in this series, endeavour to, in the manner of the Pokemon slogan, collect them all. I am going to complete the Yu-Gi-Oh series over time. What I'm going to do is, since I've already ordered them all, I am going to go through the sets, order the ones that I have, really go into those, enjoy them, look at which ones I'm missing, and if I can afford them, essentially buy them, bring them in, add them to the set, and then the whole set will be fleshly complete. We can kind of go through them in order and look at the sort of storybook of the Ancient Sanctuary, for instance. I think that that will be a very sort of in-depth, comprehensive journey through Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not worried about the condition of the card being mint, gem 9, whatever. This card, for instance, is quite clearly in terrible condition, There's probably mud on it from a playground, a childhood playground, etc. There's crease marks. You can see that that's in pretty shitty condition. But it tells a story. This card was used. This card, people had fun with this card. It was evidently handled, and that, for me, is what Yu-Gi-Oh was all about. As a kid, it was playing this in the playground and just having fun with friends, and this has got those marks in it. We can see that this was played with outside. We can see that it was, held like this by somebody at some point. And so I'm not bothered about condition. Also, because I'm someone who likes to learn languages, I'm also not terribly bothered about languages. I grew up getting a fair few Portuguese cards, so I am very happy to add these to my collection as well. You'll notice most of these are common cards. That's because the holographic cards I generally keep in a separate folder, but I will add them to this collection for the purpose of this series. So, condition doesn't matter, language doesn't matter for me. That makes filling this storybook in a lot easier. Now, because I'm interested in linguistics, and this is not a series about linguistics, it's going to be about the cards, I'm very happy to order, for instance, Atlantean Pikeman, were I not to own it already, in the cheapest, shittest condition, cheapest language version available on some website. And then when I show you the card, the art is not of a different language, unless there's some kind of OCG variation, which is sometimes the case. But we're going to evaluate the art for the art's sake, and just sort of look at the story in this picture. For instance, this card has got this great big sort of bendy lance here that actually looks like a swordfish at the front. You see the spines at the top, you can see the front of the mouth, it's like a gaping mouth. And that's something that, because this is just Atlantean Pikeman, it's not the Blue Eyes White Dragon or Jinzo, usually, we wouldn't spend too much time looking at this, but you can see all these, these walls here. This must be the walls of the probably mythical city of Atlantis underwater. So we can see also there are some Atlantean pikemen in the background with also these sort of swordfish things. Someone actually went to the effort to make this. The muscle structure of the leg is relatively interesting. The colour is quite pleasant. It's a sort of turquoise blue sort of blend going on here. It's got some nice armour. It's looking pretty ugly and gnarly up front. You see those teeth looking a bit nasty. It's got some spikes on his head. Flippers with claws on them. So an all around sort of evidently relatively aggressive, ugly little fish thing in Atlantis, with a very nice, wonderfully composed pike at the end at least, and some strange, for some reason, bendy thing there. It's a sea serpent by thing, Atlantean pikeman. Water monster. The great ocean lord who reigns over the depths is served by these lancers. Okay, so it is a lance. Interesting. They've gone for lancers in the description and pikemen up there. I'm not entirely sure if lance and pike are entirely interchangeable. You know, there's something to think about. Deep-sea creatures exist in fear of facing the stream of attacks their lances are capable of. Okay, so sort of pretty general. But that's the Atlantean pikeman. Phantom Darkness. Doesn't look terribly formidable. 0 defense. That is quite terrible. You almost think that being underwater, they'd have quite a good defense against fire creatures, but that's not how Yu-Gi-Oh works. So yeah, I'd probably give it a bit slightly different stats if I were making it, but there we go. That's Phantom Darkness number 2. Anyway, that is the general trend idea of this series. So going back a little bit, retracing my steps. So say I were to order, let's say, A Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon in terrible condition with, I don't know, literally like someone had got it and crushed it up like that. And it was ripped and it was in German, you know, I would learn the title translation, I would learn the words involved in the description, and I would speak those words as a translation when showing that card for in that instance, German audiences. And that way, you know, you'd still get the art, you'd get the name, you'd basically be able to work out what it is, I'd be able to tell you that, you could see the stats, you would get the story from me, and you would see the cards, you know. You'd see them all and they'd all be in order, and this is the intention of this series. Yeah, so I think the logical series of events would be for me to begin at, I believe, Legend of Blue Eyes, and then to go forth from there. So that's the idea. I hope that you, if you decide to watch it, enjoy it, and if you're not enjoying it, stop watching it and do something better with your time. That's the idea. So yeah, best wishes to all of you out there, and if you are listening to this video, thank you for sharing your time with me and joining me on this journey. I will see you at the beginning of the journey through Yu-Gi-Oh! Comprehensively.